From Mamamia, welcome to The Spill, your daily pop culture fix. I'm Ksenia Lukic.
And I'm Laura Brodnick.
And on today's show, Sophie Turner thinks that she may have broken up a famous celebrity couple. And we think we might know who it is.
Yes, but first, and look, it pains me to bring this up. I take absolutely no joy in this conversation, but I feel like it's still bubbling away and we have to have it. There have been even more clues that Blake Lively and Taylor Swift's over a decade-long best friendship is over.
Look, we love Taylor Swift. We have been diving so deep into all of these songs that we're not going to hear for a little while, but we have a track list.
Yes, we have a track list. And so some of the fun has been since she released that on her boyfriend's podcast and put the track list and the album cover out into the world is people going through and decoding what all the different songs mean, you know, who she's drawn inspiration from, which parts are like linked to different people. And there's a few where there's like a bit of a tenuous link, like the one where she's the Elizabeth Taylor track.
Yeah.
People think that is Kaylee Teller, who's Miles Teller's wife, who is a really good friend of Taylor Swift. I mean, there's been also reports that they're on the rocks as well. And I never know what to believe because I feel like Taylor Swift goes through stages of being photographed a lot with her very famous friends, but more like in event season. And then like anyone else will go through stages of not seeing them for a while. And then because there's not public photos, it looks like they've had a falling out.
I know. And I feel like that is a little bit tenuous because these people are very busy. Like they're going to be on opposite sides of the country or world at multiple times. So, I mean, like we can kind of think about that. But the one that fans are kind of the most suspicious about is track number 6. And it's called Ruin the Friendship, which I feel like it's a pretty obvious link.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about linking different titles to different friends is like people think they figured it out. So the Kaylee Teller one they think is because it's called Elizabeth Taylor and there's a video of her giving Taylor Swift a ring and it's like really over the top and Taylor Swift is like, oh, this looks like it's for Elizabeth Taylor. But that's also how she speaks. Yeah. Whereas the Ruin the Friendship one does seem to be kind of quite pointed around Blake Lively. I mean, we haven't seen the lyrics yet, so we don't know.
Yeah, and then there's another one, I think it's track 10. Okay, so that one is called Cancelled. So people are kind of speculating that this is probably about like, you know, celebrity culture and the way that people get cancelled so quickly these days, which we've spoken about here on this pod before. But again, it could be the fact that Blake and Ryan basically got cancelled once this whole Justin Baldoni lawsuit came out. So those are the two from me that really like stuck out to me about their relationship. I think the other thing was like Taylor had this big dinner party at Cipriani or whatever in New York City. And Blake wasn't there.
Yeah, that's been the kind of telling thing is that they haven't been pitched together in such a long time, which, as I said, for any of her other celebrity friendships wouldn't be a big deal, but they did kind of live in each other's pockets for a while. And it's the New York dinner thing that really tipped over for me. They had this dinner, and I don't know if you've seen all the other like Taylor Swift and Blake Lively New York dinner situations, but it's always such a thing. Like they've always got like, you know, the outfits on.
Yeah, they're holding hands often, like, you know, it's very like buddy. And I mean, I think that definitely to me said a lot. But then I was doing a little bit more reading. Some people are now saying that these particular tracks may not be about Blake at all because she said that she actually wrote these songs back in July of last year, so summer in the Northern Hemisphere, during the Eras tour. So she was like, you know, recording and then she'd go on to doing stuff on tour and then blah, blah, blah. But the whole Baldoni Blake stuff didn't happen until like December. And Blake, Ryan, Travis and Taylor were all at dinner together in October of 24. So some people are saying that, no, that's not going to be about her. But, I mean, she could have easily written something after the fact.
That's the hard thing. I mean, it's hard because she has had, as like most people, I guess, her adults, and especially when you're like in that kind of high level of the entertainment industry, would have a lot of different friendship breakups because so much of your life is public and there could be falling out. So it could be about any of her friends. But the thing is that we do know that she can turn an album around super quick. Like, just think it wasn't that long from the Maddie Healy breakup of their situationship. And then the Tortured Poets Reports department came out, and like there wasn't like any other artist that could have taken years to pull like that level of songwriting together, and she did that fairly quickly from an album perspective. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that this, and also from a public perception, like when we first started thinking, like sort of seeing the friendship fallout, it's like a celebrity breakup. Like we usually find out months after it's actually happened. So we don't actually know when, if their friendship is over, which it kind of feels like it is at the moment when it happened.
I think the sad thing is because Taylor is the godmother to Blake's children, that to me is one of the saddest things. Like, because a godparent is something that should be held in really high regard. Like I know a lot of people are like, don't take it as seriously, but that to me is really sad that she's kind of lost if this is over. But I mean, look, there's been so many times where it's been like sources say, so we don't know who these sources are. So it could be, you know, a Daily Mail quote, or they are not talking at the moment. They are not communicating. Like it really seems like this is over.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring up Blake Lively's kids, because that is something I've been thinking about too. Like it's one thing for you and your best friend of like over a decade to not speak, which is one of the most heartbreaking things. Like sometimes a friendship breakup hurts more than a romantic breakup. But there's so many like photos and videos of Taylor Swift with Blake Lively's children, particularly her eldest daughter, James, who I think is like nearly 10 now. So like old enough to really notice that someone who was in her life a lot, who she called Aunt Taylor, who would like go to her concerts. And then there's photos of like Taylor like hugging the girls and like holding their hands and like walking them out of the stadium. And there's photos of them out and about in New York together. And they're all over her, as you would be. Like she seems like she'd be like the most fun aunt to have around. But yeah, to be that entwined in their lives, like how do you kind of explain that to the kids of like, Aunt Taylor was here all the time and now we just don't see her anymore?
It's like a divorce, honestly, and I agree with you. Sometimes friendship breakups, particularly ones that have been for a really long time, are way harder because you're like leaving behind things that, you know, those joint memories. And yeah, you're right. Those kids are going to know. And maybe they are. What if they're at home asking about Aunt Taylor? That makes me sad.
Well, I feel like once you're like close to 10, like you're really in the thick of, obviously not knowing about everything that's going on in the world, but knowing when someone who's been a big force in your life isn't there. Look, for all we know, she and James are like FaceTiming each other, and that's a separate thing to her and her mum. But yeah, you're right in terms of like there's a lot of quotes around from the Daily Mail and stuff of the friendship breakup, but I'm more looking at the facts that we can kind of see, like the fact that they haven't been pictured together. And the New York dinner was the one that kind of tipped me, because that was their thing of going to these like celebratory dinners and doing the pap walk, and as you're saying, like holding hands and coming out afterwards holding hands. And it was such a big thing to see like Taylor walking with other friends like Ashley Avignon and stuff who are at the dinners, but Blake being absent. But at the same time, Blake's like still really in the thick of her legal situation with Justin Baldoni. So maybe it's also that she didn't think she should be papped in that situation.
Okay. So Queen of the North, Sophie Turner, was on Seth Meyers last week, Late Night with Seth Meyers, and she was talking about a couple of different things. She's promoting her new movie, Trust, and she was talking about a couple of different things, but there was something at the beginning of the interview that I thought was so funny, and we've had a little bit of like internet sleuthing happening as well. So basically she was talking about how she met Seth at a Comic-Con back in like 2014. And then I'm going to let her tell the story because I feel like she tells it best.
So I brought like my best friend from my school days with me, and she saw this actor that she like loved. And she obviously just goes to me like, can you just say hi? And so I didn't know this actor, so I just went, and that was it.
Right.
And then later on, I see this girl looking at me, and she's a famous actress. And I was like, oh, I have to go and tell her how much she means to me. So I dance on over, and she goes, can you stop flirting with my fiance? And I was like, who's your fiance? She's like, points at the guy that I'd waved at. I went, I have no idea who this man is.
Right.
And then turns out, I think they like broke their engagement off that
Really?
night because of my...
Oh my God.
Okay. So when I first heard that, I didn't really think that much about it, but my God, can the internet find a name?
Yeah, I just say I freaking love Sophie Turner. We should just let that woman talk unfiltered all the time because she tells the best stories. So yeah, at first she was like, obviously I'm not going to say who it is, but it was kind of easy to trace because if you look at like the different Comic-Cons she went at and how old she would have been at the time and who else was there, people have deduced, and I do think this is correct, that it was Evan Peters and Emma Roberts.
Yes, so they had dated for a while. They were engaged at the time, and then shortly after that broke off their engagement.
Yeah, that's interesting how she was like, and I found out later they broke up that night. But also Sophie Turner's defense, like she's there with her high school friend. They're seeing Evan Peters. He was really he still is off the moment, but that was like in the really heightened moment of him being the star of American Horror Story and being in a few other movies, and people were very obsessed with him. And it also tracks that Sophie Turner would be obsessed with Emma Roberts because she is the kind of right age to be watching her during her like early child stardom days. She's the right age to have grown up on like Wild Child and Nancy Drew and all of those like very classic Emma Roberts films. And there's also photos of, again, we don't know exactly which Comic-Con, but there's photos of the year that Sophie Turner was there of an after party for Comic-Con, and the paparazzi have Emma Roberts like outside the Comic-Con party absolutely sobbing, and like her friends are coming around her and Evan Peters is then coming over and they look like they're making up. Those pictures were a dime a dozen when those two were dating though.
Yeah, so they think it was either like 2014 or 2015 because that's when there's the photos. This is the thing, you can't hide anything anymore.
No.
But yeah, I love the way she tells the story, especially when she talks about like she was like she just danced over.
Yeah.
And like, can you imagine if you thought like someone was flirting with your fiance, they just like danced over to you?
Yeah. And there's also, that is, I feel, again, we don't know for sure, but I do feel that is the way Emma Roberts speaks. Like she would have been like, can you stop fucking with my boyfriend? Because she's that's why she plays those characters like Madison on American Horror Story so well, is she does that bitchy mean girl so well. And that's where her and Evan Peters met on American Horror Story. They were on and off for a really long time. And everything we know about their relationship is like they were so crazy madly in love. They got engaged really young. Like the thing is, Emma Roberts at this time would have been like 20, 21.
Yeah.
So people do crazy shit in their early 20s. Yeah. So I kind of do believe that
it tracks.
Little Sophie Turner coming in with one little wave could have blown the whole thing up.
And Sophie Turner's just like, I feel like particularly in those early days of Game of Thrones, like she was just like loving life. Like this is just as, you know, Game of Thrones is like the biggest show on television. She's at Comic-Con, she's hanging out with her mates, she gets to bring her best friend. Like she's enjoying this. Like this is still new for her. So like, I feel a little bit sad for her, but she did actually tell another story in this, that something that I have loved listening to, because again, if you are a Game of Thrones fan, you know that her and Kit Harington would play brother and sister. And so she's in this new movie with him called The Dreadful. She's also producing it. And she talks about how she sends the script to Kit, and then Kit goes, this is going to be really weird because they have to kiss and have sex. And she didn't really think about it.
Yeah.
Earlier in the interview, she talks about her current movie. She's covered in cockroaches and rats. And this is what she has to say when Seth says, what was worse, kissing Kit Harington or being covered in roaches and rats?
It's the first kissing scene and we are both retching. Like really, it is vile. It was the worst, another really bad moment in my career.
Was it worse than the cockroaches?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe her. That sounds so gross because I think it's okay if you play brother and sister as adults. Like when you're two adults coming in, I mean, and there's lots of adults, people who've played adults on TV who have gone on to date or even get married. Like on Dexter, the actor who played Dexter and his sister, they got married and had like a very tumultuous relationship. Same on Parenthood with Peter Krause and Lauren Graham's relationship. Like they played brother and sister. And this is while they're playing brother and sister. They played brother and sister all the way through that show run and dated at the same time. So I feel like that's slightly better because you're like two adults coming in, but they were children.
But yes, so, and this is the particular thing. Like I think when Sophie Turner started, which she was like 13, and Kit would have been like 20. So like ill for
I know.
Kit. Like, I knew you when you were a child.
That's the only weird thing it's throwing me. I mean, they're both adults now and they're actors and it's fine. And they clearly wanted to do it. It's like she's producing the movie. It's not like they were just thrown together. And the marketing sells it so well of like not only a former Game of Thrones like cast members teaming up, but a brother and sister teaming up to be in love, like people and have sex scenes. People are gonna go watch that. But yeah, it's this weird thing of seeing photos of them on set when the show first started. And he's like this burly guy with a beard and she's like this tiny little like tween, and he's, you know, like they're very brother and sister in the photos, and I just feel like,
and obviously, and even the way that Kit responds, like, this is going to be so fucking weird. So
yeah.
But it did make me laugh. It makes me giggle, and it makes me really want to watch the movie.
Yeah,
even though I hate gothic horror, like horror movies are like my worst nightmare, but I will watch it.
I freaking love a gothic horror, but I almost wish that it wasn't those two because it's going to take me out of it. Like I almost wish I wasn't thinking of the whole brother and sister thing.
Good actors,
watching
though. They
it.
could do it.
Well, we'll see. I'll be the judge of that.
They could do it. I believe in them. Sophie Turner has like really come out for me. Like I want to see her in more. I love her.
Look, same. I'm reserving my judgment until I see it, but sometimes I don't like a backstory with a movie. I like to experience it, but as I said, we'll see when it comes out.